A big turn of events unfolding about the crisis in Syria. President Obama now considering not striking Syria and working with Putin, the president of Russia, to control Syria's chemical weapons. But can we really trust Russia and Putin? Joining us right now is the chairman of the Homeland Security Committee and the ranking member of the Committee on Foreign Affairs, Texas Congressman McCaul. Congressman, good morning to you.
Hey, good morning.
Okay, so John Kerry, whatever they're paying him, double it because he's a problem solver. Everybody knows that this was a gaffe, that he came up with this yesterday, but now Putin's behind it. The president says this is a breakthrough. What do you think of it?
I think this came up at the G20 summit. Remember, the president went to the summit of all world leaders and was essentially snubbed. He's had no leadership in the international community. When it comes to Putin, I think he's putting forward an idea that could avert a military intervention in Syria. Now, having said that, we're all very skeptical of the Russians. We don't trust them normally. But I do think there's one country that can influence Assad in Syria to stop using these weapons and turn them over to the international community to be secured and destroyed. And it's really Putin. And so it's in his hands to some extent. And I think we should look at that issue. I think the president has brought us to a failed foreign policy in the Middle East. He's brought this disaster to us and to a vote in the Congress. But I do see this as an interesting development that could possibly bring a good outcome.
I think it's curious. The president of the United States had been saying, look, we're going to have to strike Syria, although Mr. Kerry said that it would be an unbelievably small strike. The president said we're going to have to strike because we've exhausted all diplomatic avenues. Well, now, fast forward 24 hours, wait a minute, there's another diplomatic avenue right over there.
Remember, little wars start big wars, and an unbelievably small step could be unbelievably big and disastrous and a really bad idea for America. And so the idea, the way they have this set up is that once we attack and once we strike, but we don't know what the consequences will be.
Sure.
We know cables we've intercepted from Iran indicate that they will attack our U.S. embassy in Iraq. Hezbollah will light up. And at the same time, Steve, who are we arming here? Who is our friend in this conflict? The rebel forces are hardly our friends when we know that somewhere between 25 to 50% of them are constituted of radical Islamist jihadists. And last time I checked, we're on the eve of 9/11.
Yeah, exactly.
I thought they were the enemy.
Yeah, I saw that one of the spokespersons for one of the opposition groups in Syria said, forget about what they're talking about with the Russians. The Americans should just go ahead and strike anyway. Okay, so this is obviously great for Putin. He looks fantastic on the world stage. It's good for the president because it gets him out of a jam, but it's good for a lot of your fellow congressmen, senators and congressmen who are going to vote, not only is public opinion against this, but the president didn't have the votes in Congress. And now, if this works out, they're not going to be, on the hook for that.
Well, I think it's clear he doesn't have the votes in the House. I don't think this would pass if it was held today. But I do think if we can avoid a military intervention, that would just further inflame the region and not be in our interest and put us in the middle of the Sunni-Shia conflict, supporting rebels that are jihadists. That may not be a bad option. Now, let me say that Putin, the thing we have in common with Russia, not a whole lot, but the thing that we do is that I truly don't think they want to see these chemical weapons used. And the second factor is they despise these radical jihadists. They fought them in Afghanistan, they fought them in Chechnya, and they fought them as a proxy in Syria. So we do have some common interests there that could help in terms of negotiation, but I don't have a lot of confidence in our administration. I hope we can work something out.
Well, let's see what the president says tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern, right here on Fox. Congressman McCaul from Texas. Sir, thank you very much.
Thanks, Steve.
All right.